Hello guys, I wanted to talk with you today about Dave Chapelle and the assault that occurred against him in Los Angeles last night. So Dave Chapelle was touring this, he was doing this Netflix is a Joke festival, and he was doing this in the he was doing his act in at the Los Angeles Hollywood Bowl Arena when a man by the name of Isaiah Lee, the suspect has been identified as Isaiah Lee, had charged him on stage and attempted to tackle him. And the man was armed. He had a replica gun, which I guess means that it wasn't a real gun that he could have shot him with, but it certainly is meant to intimidate or cause fear at the very least. So, but he did have a knife. The man did have a knife on him, and it seemed pretty clear, or it seemed very likely, that if the man were to successfully tackle Dave Chapelle, which he failed to do successfully, that he may have pulled that knife on him and used it. And so Dave Chapelle was doing his act, and then this man assaulted him on stage, or at least attempted to. He charged Dave Chapelle and attempted to tackle him. Dave Chapelle kind of sideswiped him a little bit and managed to avoid being tackled. And that may have saved his life if the man were able to pull out that knife. If he had tackled him to the ground, it could have been a very different story. So Chris Rock apparently was on stage at the time. Jamie Foxx was up in the stands. I don't know what all this was, but it seemed like a real who's who of Hollywood celebrities. So you've got Chris Rock made a legendary joke when he was on stage there. He patted Dave Chapelle on the back just moments after this attack and said, "Was that Will Smith?" Which is hilarious, considering Chris Rock obviously knows what it's like to be charged on stage and to be assaulted on stage like that. So these guys have something in common there. What also occurred, Jamie Foxx was up in the stand. I guess he was somewhere up there, but somehow he got down to the stage quick enough. He ran to the stage, rushed the stage to try to help. And this guy was wearing like a white sheriff hat, which Dave Chapelle made a joke about too. Dave Chapelle also said when after Isaiah Lee, that guy attacked him, he said that was a trans man. Kind of a joke, giving all of his negative press about his supposed offensive jokes about trans people, which, he's a comedian. It's his job to make jokes. It's his job to rile people up. I mean, what kind of comedian would avoid making jokes that, good comedy can attack people. Good comedy can isolate groups. It doesn't have to be tolerant. It doesn't have to be peaceful and inoffensive. If anything, the best comedy is brutal and is brutal and so. But anyway, so this is just this clearly seems encouraged by what happened with Chris Rock and Will Smith. After Will Smith acted like a fool and came on stage and assaulted Chris Rock, it seemed like he had opened a door of sorts, because quite a few people, online polling and stuff, was saying that quite a few people were okay with what Will Smith did to Chris Rock, even though Will Smith was in the front row of the Oscars being hosted by Chris Rock, a comedian. He had to know that he was going to get roasted, but he just couldn't stomach it, so he assaulted Chris Rock. And now we're dealing with Dave Chapelle being attacked on stage by a man with a knife, no less. So this is getting dangerous for comedians. It's a scary stage atmosphere out there when these comedians have to look over their shoulders, and when society or parts of the media seem to be okay or holding their tongues from outright condemning this behavior. They were afraid to do it with Will Smith. We'll see what they have to say about this suspect who attacked Dave Chapelle. But the man is being charged by the LAPD with assault with a deadly weapon, and Dave Chapelle wasn't injured, by the way. Nobody got hurt except for the guy who did the assault, who attempted the assault. He broke his arm like really bad. I don't know if it was from the jump or from the dive and the fall, from attempting to tackle Dave Chapelle, or if it was after a bunch of people, security and whatnot, tackled him after that. So I don't know what in the attempt to apprehend him. I don't know when he broke his arm necessarily, but that guy definitely broke his arm. He went to the hospital. Dave Chapelle left unscathed, but unfortunately, this behavior seems to be not outright condemned by society or by the media. So we're living in a conformist era now where it seems to be acceptable for people to commit violence against speech. And as long as this kind of behavior is tolerated, it's going to continue. And it's very unfortunate because comedians these days are some of the only people who really hold a fire to power. You know, Dave Chapelle is a great comedian. I don't know his work that well personally, but I know that he's an Ohio native who has a lot of he has concerns and care for his home state, and he of course he understands a lot of the bullshit involving bipartisanship, and he seems concerned with economic issues. He seems like a smart guy, and it's unfortunate that he has to deal with this kind of behavior. And luckily he wasn't hurt. And Chris Rock got a great joke in there. Was that Will Smith? It's hilarious, but obviously. That's the silver lining on what is really a dark turn of events and behavior that we're seeing against comedians and against free speech, really. So, anyway, thank you guys.